and knowledge management. An overview on Earth observation and GIS. We have now thousands of satellites in space collecting all forms of data that is required for various uses on the planet. We have satellites that are collecting real data on weather. All the weather information you receive every day is all collected by satellites. All the location information you get on your mobile, your smart mobiles, to know where you are, is all collected or relayed to your mobile phones through satellites. We have Earth observation satellites which focus mainly on monitoring the planet, and they collect information on various resources, and water is one of the key resources on the planet. So there is a lot of information that is being collected every minute on water resources on this planet. And this data can be used for many uses. So the next slide shows just in a schematic manner how space technology is being used in environmental monitoring of our planet. Data is being used to monitor our resources, our forests, our waters, our land use, our ecosystems, and all other activities that take place on the planet. And we have satellites in space that can now provide information up to less than a half a meter resolution. So basically, you can get information to the lowest level to less than a meter square. So it means that we have very high resolution data that can be availed through space technology. Next, GIS is one of the best well-known analytical tools today in the world. It is an analytical tool that allows you to be able to integrate various data sets and be able to analyze them, be able to do any form of modeling to come up with the new information and therefore create new knowledge. So it's a very simple system. It's a system that you have to input data, and all this data can come from all sources, including Earth observation. And currently now you can collect data on using your smartphones. And of late, we can now collect even more detailed information using drones, thanks to our Parliament and Department of Civil Aviation, that now they have come up with the regulations to use drones. So you can now own drones and you can be able to collect data. Recently, I saw the first batch of pilots who will be piloting drones. So this is a very, very important development that has happened in Kenya. So you get inputs, and then the system itself, which does the database management, and then from there, you'll get the outputs. And you can have users locked up on the system from anywhere in the world. As I said earlier, the biggest or the most important aspect of GIS that makes it unique is its analytical tools and being able to integrate thousands sets of data and being able to analyze and be able to get you relations among various data sets, and therefore allowing you to do data mining and creating new knowledge. The legal framework for Earth observation and GIS in Kenya. Kenya has moved ahead in this technology. And thanks, I was able to be in Parliament and push for legislation on this technology. So while I was in Parliament, I was able to push to ensure that this technology, Earth observation and GIS, are part and parcel of our legal system. So the County Government Act of 2012, which established our 47 counties, obligates every county to develop a county integrated development plan, which is a 5-year development plan. It also obligates every county to develop a county spatial plan and a city and municipal plans. To be able to develop this, you need GIS. And therefore, the same law obligates counties to establish a GIS-based database system to be used as a tool for decision-making, for development of the above plans. So the legal framework in Kenya on the use of GIS is there. On Earth observation, we also have a legal framework, and I'm happy I participated in preparation of the Presidential Order number 26 of 2018 that establishes the Kenya Space Agency, whose mandate is to coordinate the application of Earth observation in sustainable resource management. So in terms of legal framework and policy, Kenya is ahead. As a county in Vihiga, we have used these legal frameworks to be able to develop what is now currently known as Vihiga County Development Information System, which we use for our planning purposes. And in developing this county development information system, it was informed by 3 principles or 3 I's. The first I is information. For you to be able to do any planning, any rational planning and decision making, you need information. So our system is anchored on data and information, because it's that data and information is the driver of the system. So that is where we put a lot of our effort to collect data in all sectors of our economy or all sectors which we manage at a county level. Using the data and information, we are able now to come up with the initiatives. And all these initiatives, development initiatives, are anchored in our county integrated development plan. So it's mandatory that we must have that plan. So with the information, you can be able now to come up with the development initiatives. Finally, these initiatives are not in vain. These initiatives are supposed to have an impact on our society or on the lives of the people of Vihiga. So we have also to analyze the impact of the initiatives that we are implementing. Next. So I will just show you in a snapshot how our Vihiga County Development Information System looks like. This is a system that integrates all our information, all our sectoral information into one system Because for planning to be effective, you must use integrated information from various sectors. This information must be integrated for you to make rational decision-making that is not biased. So we have created a system that has all these subsystems. One of the most important subsystems that we have is the Land Information Management System, because land is on which we do all the economic activities. We also have County Water Management Information System. So that's where I will just focus. We have many other subsystems: Transport Infrastructure Information System, Health Services Information System, Education Services Instrument, Environmental Monitoring. So we have more than about 30 subsystems that are in this system. And they are all integrated. And we can access to it wherever you are. So let me now go to the application of Earth observation and GIS in development and management of our water resources in Vihiga County. The first thing we have done using high-resolution satellite data is to come up with our river water system map. We have categorized our water systems under various categories: rivers, streams, and so on. So we have a map that shows what our water resources are in the county. This enables us to do quick planning as regards to water. So we have that information, and in the background, we have a lot of data on each of those river systems or water systems. We have also developed data which looks at our fisheries. You know, we have a big program on aquaculture. So we are involved in a lot of aquaculture. So we have a map or data sets that shows our county fisheries and fish ponds. So we can be able to see where our aquaculture is and what is going on there, plus associated data. Currently, through the Ministry of Water, Irrigation, and Sanitation, we are working on a very important water project in Vihiga, which is going to supply water to over 250,000 people. So we have been able to work out the catchment areas for these water projects to ensure that these catchments are well conserved, because the government is putting in more than 1.7 billion in these water projects. And because of land degradation, we have had to categorize the watersheds so that we can be able to conserve them. So there, the map there shows some of the areas, some of the watersheds that we are conserving, particularly Kaimos Forests, Marigold Hills, Epsiekwe Hills, and Kibiri Forests. What are we doing to conserve those water catchment areas? We are doing planting of trees, and we have chosen to use bamboo as our keystone species to conserve our water resources, particularly our rivers and springs. So we are doing a lot of planting of bamboo. Bamboo has been demonstrated through research that it's a very good plant for conserving water. The project I have talked about, which is being funded through the ministry, is a project that is covering the whole county, and we have shown in that map which the areas that the projects are covering. We have Kaimosi, Lunyerere, and Maseno, and these are very big waterworks. Probably I should show you just what is happening. Like this is the picture there shows the Lunyerere water scheme. It shows what it was before. You can see it was an old, dilapidated water scheme. But now with the upgrade we have made, you can see a new water scheme, which we have gone into modern technology. We are running most of this system by solar. We've chosen that solar should be the key power source. So we have an integrated water electricity energy system, whereby we have the main grid and the solar. We use more of the solar until when the level of power goes to a certain level that the national grid kicks in. This is a very important innovation that we have done, and is cutting down the cost of pumping water by almost 50%, although the initial input is expensive. We have mapped all our racing main pipes and tanks, distribution tanks in the county. So we know the capacity of those tanks, water tanks, where they are, and which areas they distribute, and we can monitor the levels of the waters in those tanks. Next, we have also mapped all our boreholes in the county, their yield and the water quality, and the areas that they serve. So that information is available, and we can be able to use it when planning on where next shall we put the borehole. With the GIS through the buffering capability, we can be able to know. Then we have also a generalized hydrological map of Vihiga, which gives us an indication on the possible areas of water. We have water kiosks for some of these water projects, water supply works, and all these kiosks where people collect water or buy water, we have mapped them, and we know the users, the yield, and the output. So that shows all the water tanks, and we can be able to monitor them from wherever we are. Despite of what we have done, the main source of water in Vihiga still is the public water springs, the traditional water springs. So they are all over the county. So what we have decided that is to rehabilitate those water springs, because some people don't want to buy water, and therefore they want to have the water springs. So what we have done is to rehabilitate those water springs, test the water quality to be sure that is good for drinking and for use, and then be able to allow people to use it. So we have a map, the one that was there earlier, which shows the water springs. There are so many, and you can see how initially they are, and when we do now, we rehabilitate and make the water springs be more hygienic. It changes the whole thing. So you can see what we have done. So we have done more than 2,000 water springs to rehabilitate them to a better environment than what they were before. Next, we are just here, I'm just showing you some of the water tanks that are distributed, and we know their capacities, so we can be able to know how much water is there and in which areas the water is being distributed to. We also have a GIS distribution network for all the people who are connected on the water services. So that allows us to be able to know who is connected and who is not connected. So in a nutshell, I would say that's what we have done, and we continue improving our system. And we are happy that the rest of the counties are also taking cue on what we are doing, and they are now taking up the GIS system as a very important planning tool. And so far, we have had about 15 counties coming to benchmark in Vihiga on how to use this system. Instead of them going to probably now Netherlands or going to Israel, now they are coming to Vihiga, and we are very happy. We are extremely happy that now we have developed our capacity to be able to showcase. So in conclusion, I can say that GIS and Earth observation are very, very important tools for managing our data in terms of modeling and creating new information out of the data. And these are very important tools to enable us to do rational decision making. Because devolution is about public participation, GIS and Earth observation has become very crucial. Because for people to effectively participate in public participation in terms of making decisions, they need information. With the GIS, we are now able to produce maps at the village level. With Earth observation, we are able to come up with the images that show the homes of the people, that show everything on the ground. So people are able, when you have high-resolution satellite data, and you go with it in the village for public participation, they are able to identify their homes, their churches, their roads. So you'll be amazed how they get excited and they become experts. They very quickly. You realize that a person who doesn't know anything about GIS, but once he or she identifies her home, her major tree in the compound, she knows everything very quickly, and they get direction very quickly. So we find GIS and Earth observation very important in decision-making and public participation. So when we go to public participation, now we go with these maps, and we have a good participation. The other issue that we have worked with the national government is to show how GIS can be used as a tool to have open governance system. We have a problem with the corruption in this country because we do not have an open governance system. Everything that goes on in the departments everywhere is only the people who are in charge that know what is going on. But with the GIS system, if all this data is put online, everybody will know what is going on. So with the ministry, with the Office of the Deputy President, we have a program called Open Government Partnership, which is using geoinformation or geospatial data to promote transparency and accountability. And that can only be done with the use of data that is available and is a data that can be questioned and interrogated by everybody. Finally, I want to end by saying that GIS and Earth observation have a great opportunity, and they are going to drive the digital world in which we are already in. And therefore, all departments, everybody, all the countries must embrace these technologies. And I'm very happy our country has made a major step in this direction. 2 months ago, His Excellency the President launched our first spatial data center at Kasarani, which now allows us to access to information, land information system in the whole country. They have started with Nairobi, and they'll be covering the rest of the country in the next 2 years. So now all the information on land, you no longer go to the Office of Survey to find out whether somebody has put a caution on your land or not. You'll be able to access it. And those of you in Nairobi, you can now access to your land information, cadastre, through the spatial data sets. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity, and I want to wish you a very successful symposium. Thank you, and God bless you.
Use of GIS, and KV is also in that order, following what's happening. I want to, with the permission of Chief Administrative Secretary, Dr. Timur, we want to get 2 other presentations from our external partners. I know they'll take around 10, 15 minutes. So those with IT, if you can prepare Dr. Bryce Mora, who's in the program, is the keynote speakers for panel 1 discussion. Dr. Bryce Mora obtained his PhD in remote sensing in 2009. He worked for the Canadian Forest Service, and then for the Wageningen University in the Netherlands, managing ISA funded project. He's now working for the CS Group, a French IT company, as a project manager. Can you welcome Dr. Mora with a clap? Thank you. Yeah, because the governor and the students believing we can allow 1 or 2 questions before we get the other panelist speaker to. Professor, you wanted to ask 1 question, burning one? So you can be given. I was just wondering. Can you give the professor the microphone?
Am I loud enough, or I need a mic? I think I'm loud enough. Yeah. Yeah. I was just wondering. The big account is so motivated in putting the infrastructure for water, supply people for water with water. And then I was saying, please pay for it. So my concern was whether the community, I know the ministry is very keen on paying water abstraction. So this is a process of water abstraction. And eventually I just the cost is going to pass on to the community. So I actually wanted to know whether they pay, and therefore I know that if the payment is there, the taxes, the revenue is improved, and therefore we expect better management of the water resources. So I was just wondering, but he has confirmed that they are paying, they pay for the water that is being supplied to them. And sometimes you wonder whether water is free for payment, but at least I know every service that is provided must be met in that service. Therefore, the payment is there. Thank you, Honorable Kichino, for enlightenment, and just a compliment that you have been able to take this thing into make use of the knowledge you have
So we are waiting for the external presenters. The IT, is it ready?
Today, in Giuseppe from ESA presented earlier this morning, I'm going to develop what the EU Africa Research and Development Facility is about, and making this presentation on behalf of the consortium operating the EU Africa R&D facility, and especially on behalf of Zoltan Recardi, who's the PI of the project. Zoltan Recardi works at the University of Twente in the Netherlands. So, well, the context has been introduced already by Giuseppe, but you understood that promoting the use of Earth observation, satellite data, to address specific topics and issues in the context of Africa. And this project is a legacy and builds on previous experience acquired thanks to the Tiger initiative from ESA. So one of the objectives is in particular to build or strengthen an African-European R&D partnership to again facilitate the adoption of Earth observation in Africa, and this in a sustainable fashion. I will come back to this in my closing words. This is a very important point here. So the activities of the embedded in the EU Africa project, which is a longer term activity that goes beyond 10 years. So the main activities of the supporting research and development activities by means of research calls on two main topics: and food security. Second point is the provision. For that, we will support those research activities thanks to what we call the Innovation Lab, which consists in the provision of
processing, pre-configured processing machines on the cloud, and also what we call the Space Academy, which encompasses all the capacity development activities. I'm going to develop to develop what we mentioned for our project. Again, the focus is on food and water scarcity in the context of climate change. We want to facilitate this European-African exchange in the field of research and know-how. And of course, what we would like to see is the development of new algorithms, processing chains adapted to the African context mentioned. We want to develop an active community also that can share their developments. And one important point is the free open source policy, both for data, Copernicus data, but also the tools and the algorithms. This is part of the policy from and it's also embraced by all the participants of this project. So we have also the desire to build and develop some curriculum in coordination with local entities to perform these capacity development activities. And worth being mentioned, the training kits will be developed both in English. So you've seen this slide already presented by Giuseppe, but those are the three pillars. It's good to repeat them. So we will issue some research calls. We will select the best projects and provide them with resources, processing resources through the innovation lab, the second pillar. And the last one, on the right-hand side, is about the training and capacity development by means of MOOC, webinars, face-to-face training, and the release of training materials also. So our activity started a few months earlier, so we are at the very beginning, and the first action we performed was a user survey among the experts, the EO experts in Africa. About 300 of them were interviewed, and you can see their geographic location on figure 1. So mostly in English countries, you can note that. So I'm not going into the details of this survey, but worth being presented are the main topics that came back the most frequently on the surveys. What are the main topics, subtopics for both food security and water related challenges? And among those, for instance, for food security, was mentioned by half of the respondents. Identifying crop stress or drought was also mentioned frequently. Crop yield forecast also. So those are quite advanced topics. They go beyond the simple, rather simple agriculture mapping topic. So those are the next challenges, and they've been well identified and reported by our respondents. On the water-related related to drought and flood events, mapping water bodies and floods also, and finally, interestingly, also almost half of the respondents mentioned defining groundwater level and volumes of big basins, water basins. So those will help us shaping capacity development activities, but also shaping the calls, the research calls that will come soon. And this is what this new slide is about. That we will issue. The first one will be issued end of September, end of this year. So we have a busy summer formulating this call. And we have a budget for that. But the main point is we have 2 rounds of calls. The first one this fall in September. The project should start in February next year, so February 22. And the project will have a duration of 1 year. And at the end of this year, a second round of call will be issued. And the recipients will be granted resources, again, on the cloud, pre-configured processing environments to use for a 1 year duration. We communicate on social media, so you can look for us on Twitter, for instance. And we have released also a website. It's a new website. It's been up for a few weeks now, eoafrica-rnd.org. So you can retrieve us and follow the activity and notably the upcoming research calls. So here is a complex slide. I will not go into the details. This is about the innovation lab, the cloud computing environment, and my colleague Serkan Ringring from University of Twente will have a dedicated presentation later on today. So I will pass this slide. This brings an overview of what people will be able to access and use, both in terms of tools and datasets. This slide is about the Space Academy. So the Space Academy is about the capacity development. Again, as I said, we'll organize some MOOCs, so online courses. We'll have a set of learning materials, training kits, both in English and French. We'll perform also live webinars, and all these activities will be accessible for free. And those activities will start this fall, and will be different in the next coming years. Into the details, there will be one MOOC online course, 15 webinars, 8 training modules, and these activities will be based on what we have identified as the most interesting topics, thanks to the user survey, the expert survey that we performed. Face-to-face training also in the COVID outbreak is solved. We really hope to organize those. Let's see how it goes. Some final thoughts from the consortium to emphasize is the sustainability of the activity. So we will have in mind not performing activities for a short duration, this 3-year project, but we want to think beyond, and this is where the sustainability comes into place. It's not just about ensuring the continuity of the project. We want really to establish a sustainable relationship between the European and the African entities, and also within Africa. We see the R&D facility as a platform of exchange of ideas, tools, and algorithms. So we will work on this, and this is the key message from Zoltán Bekári, the PI of the project, and we are all in line with him, and this is part of ESA's objective also, to have a sustainable EO-Africa R&D facility. So thank you for your attention, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
What you need is just capacity to use it. This is what we want to do. Innovation, research. Research, then you come up with innovations. Exactly. Because we yes, because there is a lot of there is a lot of to do with water. You have to acquire management. Like how do you manage waste management? But now we can with the we can recycle this water. We can recycle. Even our sanitation system must change. We must put now biodigesters.
Hello? Yeah, the IAGA will continue the next presenter, which is also online, but the CAS is still there. So we are just taking him around. And we're also saying that you can break and take some tea. I'm told some people came here by 6:30 from as far as Kisumu. Yeah, but you allow the guests to leave first so that we don't clog the route. So the next presenter will present.
Yes,
So they,
there are some reservations.
yes, but I'm taking you around, the two of you, then you'll come back, and the chair. So we'll allow those who are to come and fill the front seat. Mr. Kiara, you can come and fill the chair seat. I've chosen you because you are directly. Huh?
Committee. Is he ready? Is he ready or you? Let's hold on a bit as they are leaving. Is he ready or you wait for tea? And are you people ready? No, he has not joined. You have said you go for tea. He's ready. Has he joined? There's a request that the presenter is online, so we are requesting that we only have this short presentation. We have this short presentation before we move. The presenter is Dr. Joel Ondago Botai, who was awarded BSc Education degree from Moi University, an MSc in Engineering Advanced Space Techniques by Chalmers University, Sweden, an MSc in Astrophysics by the Rhodes University, South Africa, and PhD in Meteorology by the University of Pretoria. Dr. Botai is currently Chief Scientist at South African Weather Service, SOURCE, an extraordinary lecturer at the Department of Geography, Geophymatics, and Meteorology, University of Pretoria. An honorary research fellow at the School of Agricultural, Earth,